Welcome to Mastering Machines, where we discover tomorrow's reality.
Welcome to Mastering Machines, where we discover tomorrow's reality. I was watching Lord of the Rings, and I saw the fight scene between Saruman and Gandalf. And for some odd reason, I couldn't help but think about Sam Altman and Elon Musk. But unlike that battle, it doesn't seem like there's a pure distinction between who's good and who's bad, as it is with most of the world. Elon made headlines last week by suing OpenAI and CEO Sam Altman. Elon is essentially suing them for getting away from their nonprofit mission and basically having nonprofit goals and running as a nonprofit while having a for-profit model arm of OpenAI. And the whole idea of OpenAI was, of course, of it being open. He's accusing Sam and OpenAI of constructing as a nonprofit and wanting to make money as a for-profit company. Let's look at the actual legal documents of the lawsuit that was brought by Elon. Let's talk about one of the first things that jump out in the lawsuit, and that's a claim for breach of contract. And to have a valid contract, you need an offer, acceptance, and exchange of value, and what a lot of lawyers and legal professionals call a consideration, in an enduring effort to make simple concepts sound confusing and increase fees. Elon Musk is basically alleging that OpenAI breached a contract that looks like it doesn't exist. The complaint makes reference to something called the founding agreement, but they haven't actually been able to find that founding agreement. And you can look at some of the communication between OpenAI and Elon and tell that it was just kind of a vibe of what they thought was going to happen. One of the first interesting parts of the actual lawsuit itself is on page 3, Article 18. Mr. Musk has long recognized that AGI poses a grave threat to humanity, perhaps the greatest existential threat we face today. His concerns mirrored those raised before him by luminaries like Stephen Hawking and Sun Microsystems founder Bill Joy. Our entire economy is based around the fact that humans work together and come up with the best solutions to a hard task. If a machine can solve nearly any task better than we can, that machine becomes more economically useful than we are. As Mr. Joy warned, with strong AGI, the future doesn't need us. OpenAI was founded as a nonprofit in 2015 by several individuals, including CEO Sam Altman and Musk, though the latter left in 2018. The company is seeking a court dismissal of the lawsuit. I actually had to re-record parts of this video because there were so many updates being made throughout this week. Like this, the most significant one being OpenAI releasing a statement that comes in response to this lawsuit, which basically alleged that OpenAI has been transformed into a closed source kind of de facto subsidiary of Microsoft and is actually developing AGI for the sake of profit and not humanity. The first entry of the blog post is labeled, "We realize building AGI will require far more resources than we initially imagined." So here's some of the emails directly from Elon. So this was in 2015 of November 2015. "We need to go with a much bigger number than $100 million to avoid sounding hopeless relative to what Google or Facebook are spending. I think we should say that we are starting with a $1 billion funding commitment. This is real. I will cover whatever anyone else doesn't provide. So you can see there that Elon had already been aware of how much money would be needed to sink into this actual effort of reaching AGI. Then one of the other kind of interesting things is this right here, redacted is exactly right. We may wish it otherwise, but in my and redacted opinion, Tesla is the only path that could even hope to hold a candle to Google. Even then, the probability of being a counterweight to Google is small. It just isn't zero. So you could see there that Elon at that time was already understanding what needed to be done to push this forward, as far as just AI and going against Google, especially at the time when DeepMind is, kind of churning around a lot of the AI work that was being done. And in reference to how much compute power is needed, it's this entry of the emails that's really kind of damning. I also strongly suspect that compute horsepower will be necessary and possibly even sufficient to reach AGI. If historical trends are any indication, progress in AI is primarily driven by systems, compute, data, and infrastructure. The core algorithms we use today have remained largely unchanged from the 90s. Not only that, but any algorithmic advances published in a paper somewhere can be almost immediately re-implemented and incorporated. Conversely, algorithmic advances alone are inert without the scale to also make them scary. It seems to me that OpenAI today is burning cash and that the founding model cannot reach the scale to seriously compete with Google, an $800 billion company. If you can't seriously compete but continue to do research in open, you might in fact be making things worse and helping them out for free, because any advances are fairly easy for them to copy and immediately incorporate at scale. So the OpenAI team and Elon kind of knew that they had to break away from that open model, because essentially if they're open sourcing everything that they're doing, Google, their main competitor with DeepMind, would just copy a lot of that stuff. And I also kind of want to credit OpenAI as far as basically making the most damning part of the emails the last part of the blog entry. So let's read. A for-profit pivot might create a more sustainable revenue stream over time and would with the current team likely bring in a lot of investment. However, building out a product from scratch would still focus from AI research. It would take a long time. It's unclear if a company could catch up to Google's scale, and the investors might exert too much pressure in the wrong directions. The most promising option I could think of, as I mentioned earlier, would be for OpenAI to attach to Tesla as its cash cow. I believe attachments to other large suspects, e.g. Apple or Amazon, would fail due to an incompatible company DNA. Using a rocket analogy, Tesla already built the first stage of the rocket with the whole supply chain of Model 3 and its onboard computer and a persistent internet connection. The second stage would be a full self-driving solution based on a large-scale neural network training, which OpenAI expertise could significantly help accelerate. With a functioning full self-driving solution in 2 to 3 years, we could sell a lot of cars/trucks. If we do this really well, the transportation industry is large enough that we could increase Tesla's market cap to high 100K and use that revenue to fund the AI work at the appropriate scale. So you can see here that from what they've just released, right, that Elon kind of knew where they were heading as far as the for-profit arm of OpenAI. And it wasn't just out of some goodness out of his heart or anything like that. He was going to use a lot of the OpenAI infrastructure into Tesla, his own company, to kind of wash each other's back and use that to scale up his business as well. So when we think about Elon kind of doing this for the goodness of mankind, it's kind of a fool's errand and kind of a smokescreen. A lot of this is him kind of mad that he didn't stay with OpenAI and reap a lot of the benefits that they've gotten of the last 2 years. The last update that we have here is that basically right now Elon's going into meme wars on X, with various people regarding the OpenAI case. And he has even suggested that he would drop the lawsuit if OpenAI changed its name to Closed AI. Ha ha ha. I will be on the lookout for updates to this case and might make a video again regarding it in the future. But until then, this has been Mastering Machines. Remember, discover tomorrow's reality.